Hey guys, today we're going to see the continuation of the story entitled The Return of a God of Destruction. This story will be about a god of destruction that was brought to life, but he didn't belong to any of the current 12 universes, but to one of the 6 universes that had been destroyed by Zeno thousands of years ago. We'll see how this god of destruction will behave now, thousands of years after his death, and what his goal will be now that he has returned. Will he be a new ally for Goku, or a new enemy for him and his friends? Well, just following along to find out. Grab a bucket of popcorn and your soda and come with me, and of course don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and comment what you think of the story. Well, without further ado, let's start following this incredible story. In the 7th universe. Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on the planet that had become Big Mon's base of operations, it was possible to see that the god of destruction was floating over the sea, while his aura of destruction was released by his body, creating a kind of barrier of the destruction that disintegrated everything that touched it. Big Mon was using that to be able to meditate and thus keep his power of destruction under his control so that it wouldn't affect his body when he was going to use that power in a real battle against any enemy, especially the gods of destruction and the angels that would be his greatest enemies in the near future. While Big Mon focused on his training to adapt his body to his ancient and gigantic power of destruction, it was possible to see Amunet on the beach sitting under a tent. Angel was using her staff to be able to see that the army that Big Mon had created using his power of destruction, and the Angel was impressed with the efficiency of the army because not only were they able to destroy those that got in their way, but those who died at their hands became part of the army, and with that the army became even more numerous, and the larger the army, the greater the power of destruction, and the more the army destroyed, the more members entered the army. Amunet spoke. "This is amazing. More and more the army of Mr. Big Mon was increasing, and with that the destruction as well. But I can't see that in some universes there are some interesting mortals, and mainly in the 6th, 7th, and 11th universes like this Son Goku, Vegeta, Broly, Jiren, Toppo, Dispo, Hito, Kale, Caulifla, and even Frieza, who awakened Mr. Big Mon and brought him back to life. Well, there are some universes that are really disappointing, and I don't say that because of mortals, but because of the god of destruction, like this Syndra from the 9th universe. Even though he is a god of destruction, Syndra is more disappointing than Champa, the god of destruction of the 6th universe. If this Champa wasn't so overweight, he would be a good opponent for Master Big Mon." The angel spoke with a touch of admiration in relation to the strength of some mortals, and disappointment because of some gods of destruction like Syndra and Champa. Amunet said, "I already know what I'm gonna do. Master Big Mon wants to fight a god of destruction soon, but his body still hasn't adapted to his own power of destruction. So I'm going to analyze all 12 gods of destruction currently, and those who possess similar strength to Master Big Mon. I'm going to tell him to face this god of destruction. After all, in this way, the Big Mon Master will be able to have a little fun in addition to forcing his body to adapt faster, and thus he'll be able to get stronger and stronger while adapting to his power of destruction," said the angel, excited about the possibility of leaving his master. And he was happy because Big Mon was irritated by the fact that his body had not yet adapted to his power of destruction, and that was preventing Big Mon from fighting the gods of destruction and the angels. Amunet said, "Is that exactly what I'm going to do while the Master trains? I'm going to look for a god of destruction for the Master Big Mon to face, and with that he can have a little fun without having to risk the dying in process," said the angel with a determined tone, and then Amunet began to analyze each of the gods of destruction to search the one that Big Mon could face without running the risk of dying. Hours later, a few hours had passed, and with that it was possible to see that the aura of destruction that Big Mon was releasing was greater than a few hours ago, and that ended up generating a much bigger barrier of destruction, creating a kind of crater in the middle of the water. After a few more minutes, Big Mon came out of his meditation stage, opening his eyes and stopping to release his energy of destruction. Big Mon said, "Wow, I think I've been meditating for a few hours, but that alone has already made me feel stronger than before. It seems that Amunet is excited about something. Maybe she didn't notice that when one of my soldiers kills a mortal, that mortal ends up becoming one of my soldiers too. This will continue until the entire universe is destroyed, or until all the inhabitants of the universe are part of my army," said the god of destruction, flying to the place where Amunet was, who was very focused on analyzing the gods of destruction. Big Mon said, Aminet, what are you doing? Do you happen to see that my soldiers are doing in all the universes? Asked the god of destruction to his angel, who was so focused that he didn't hear the god of destruction speaking. So Big Mun went close to his angel and saw what Aminet was seeing in his staff. Big Mun said, "Why are you seeing the gods of destruction? Are you creating a strategy to face them or something like that, Aminet?" asked the god of destruction while looking at what the angel was seeing. Aminet ended up taking a fright when hearing his master's voice so close to him. Aminet spoke, "What a fright, master. No, master. I'm not creating any kind of strategy for you to face the gods of destruction." The angel spoke with one of her hands on her heart, showing that she had been scared, but Big Mun knew that that was just Aminet's drama, that he used to do that. Big Mun said, "Dramatic as ever, Aminet, but if you're not planning any kind of strategy, then what are you doing?" asked the god of destruction to his angel, who recovered her posture before speaking. Aminet said, "I was thinking, sir, you're kind of irritated by the fact that you can't face the gods of destruction in your current state. So I've been here analyzing all the gods of destruction for hours to find a god of destruction that you can face in its current state. That's why I stayed here for hours, analyzing all the gods and their deeds so far. The god of destruction of the 6th universe, Champa, is very weak because of the way the Lord left him, and Beerus, the god of destruction of the 7th universe, was considered one of the strongest gods of destruction. So none of them will be able to fight with the Lord now, but there are still the other 10 gods left, and I did a survey to find out which one you can face in your current state." The angel spoke with an excited tone, while looking at her god of destruction, who had a wide smile on his face, made of pure satisfaction. Big Mun spoke, "Now that's news that's got me excited. Tell me, Aminet, who is the god of destruction that I will face in my current power? Tell me please, because I have to get ready to go get his universe to face him, and in this way hunt for the gods of destruction." Said the god of destruction, euphoric to know that he had the power to face one of the 12 gods of destruction currently in that era. Aminet spoke, "With your current power, master, I know that you can face the god of destruction of the 9th universe, Syndra. He's not as strong as the other gods of destruction, and even Frieza managed to resist his Hakai. So I would say to you, master, that Syndra would be a good opponent, because even if he uses the true power of destruction the gods of destruction possess, I guarantee that you'll be able to defeat him using your current full power, without the need to use your true god of destruction form," said the angel excitedly while looking at her god of destruction, who was even more excited. Big Mun said, "Right, Aminet. I'm going to prepare myself to be able to face this Syndra guy. In the meantime, I want you to keep your eyes on the other gods of destruction, and start choosing the next god of destruction for me to destroy. In addition, I will create more soldiers, and I want you to send them to places where they haven't passed in the 9th universe, so that no one can stop me from facing the god of destruction of that universe. And send the soldiers that are there to cause the most damage possible. Order the soldiers to destroy everything because they will use the Super Dragon Balls to recover the universes." Ordered the god of destruction with a big smile on his face. His angel was happy to know that a master was happy with his idea. Aminet spoke, "Yes, master," said the angel looking at her master, who created new soldiers, and soon the angel sent them to various locations of the 9th universe. In the 7th universe. Currently in the 7th universe, more precisely on the base planet where Big Mun had taken as his base of operations while not returning to the 13th universe. It was possible to see that Big Mun, at that moment, was doing a special training to be able to face the current god of destruction of the 9th universe called Syndra, since according to Aminet, Big Mun had a strength similar to that of Syndra, and with that the ancient god of destruction from the 13th universe could start his hunt for the gods of destruction of that generation. And when his body was completely adapted to his old power of destruction, Big Mun could defeat all the gods of destruction together, and with that power he could face the angels and probably defeat them. While Big Mun was doing his warm-up training before the final battle between him and Syndra, it was possible to see that Aminet was following his master's orders, and was analyzing all the gods of destruction and finding out which one of them could be Big Mun's next opponent, when he has defeated Syndra and has already recovered from the fight. After all, Big Mun wanted to get stronger and stronger to face the current gods of destruction, and since Aminet wanted to see his master happy, she was doing her best to find a good opponent for his master, and that this opponent was not so strong as to kill him. It didn't take long for Big Mun to stop training and go meet his angel, who was finishing analyzing all the gods of destruction. Amenet already had in mind who would be the next god of destruction that his master could face, without her having to worry about him or interfering in the battle to save her master, because one of the things her master hated the most was when someone meddled in his fights. It offended him, and Amenet wanted to avoid that. Big Mun said, "Amenet, I just finished my warm-up training for my battle against the god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, Syndra. Have you found the next god of destruction I can face yet? Or am I still too weak to face another god of destruction besides this Syndra and Champa? Well, I'm not going to face Champa now because he's too weak, so I'll wait for Champa to recover. So I go after him, so that will be the next god of destruction. What will feel the power of the strongest god of destruction from the past?" asked the god of destruction with a tone of arrogance and pride over his former title of strongest among the gods of destruction, while looking at his angel, who ended up giving a short laugh. Amenet spoke. "I'm happy to see that you are acting and speaking in the same way as you did in the past. It seems that with the return of your powers, his old personality is slowly returning. Answering your question, Master, yes. I already have one more god of destruction for you to face. In reality, Goddess of Destruction. She is the goddess of destruction of the second universe, and her name is Hellas. The only one among the gods of destruction who is a woman, and who believes that the supreme power comes from the feeling of love," said the angel, already revealing who would be the next opponent that Big Mun would face. But when he heard that Big Mun was a little disappointed. Big Mun spoke. "Am I going to face a goddess of destruction who believes that the greatest power comes from the love that mortals talk about so much? This generation of gods of destruction is really disappointing. In our time, there was a goddess of destruction similar to this Hellas, but she thought that true power came from anger, suffering, and sadness. I must agree with her. That woman was a monster of strength. I just hope that this goddess of destruction is at least stronger than this Syndra guy, because if she's weaker, this fight will be a real bore," said the god of destruction while remembering a woman similar to Hellas, but much stronger than many of today's gods of destruction. Amenet spoke. "I assure you that the two are strong enough to make you excited, Master. And if they are not, you will only need to think that this boredom is necessary for your body to adapt to its former power of destruction. When your body becomes adapted to your old power of destruction, you will be very strong and will be able to face opponents that I'm sure you will like to face, like, for example, the other angels or even the High Priest. If you manage to master the power of Ultra Instinct, it is clear. Speaking of which, we have to train you to be able to activate the power of Ultra Instinct whenever you want. But until then, you can go on facing the gods of destruction with the powers you already have," said the angel, looking at her master, god of destruction, who ended up agreeing with her regarding Ultra Instinct. Big Mun said, "I can use the power of Ultra Instinct in its incomplete form, but unfortunately I only managed to use that power 3 times in my life, and until today I don't know how to activate this power without being about to die. But let's put that matter aside. Now let's focus on my main goal, which is to defeat the god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, Syndra. Amenet, my dear, you could create a portal to the Ninth Universe and teleport Syndra to a distant location, and while that is happening, I would like you to distract his angel, so that he does not interfere with my combat," said the god of destruction while looking at his angel. Amenet said, "Okay, Master, I will teleport you to that planet made of ice that we saw thousands of years ago, and it is still in one piece, so it will be a good place for you to face the god of destruction of the Ninth Universe. And not to worry, because the angel who lives in the Ninth Universe never really liked serving the gods of destruction, so he won't move a muscle to save Syndra. But rest assured if he tries to stop him," said the angel, getting up and looking to his master, who was smiling at that moment. Big Mun said, "Great. Now that's how it is. Let's go to the Ninth Universe right now, because I'm very excited to face a god of destruction that gives me a little fun, like I haven't had in a while," said the god of destruction, very excited about the fact that he would fight against a strong god of destruction again. Amenet, obeying her master's orders, created a portal in front of Big Mun, and then the angel entered the portal that closed. Now in the Ninth Universe. Currently in the Ninth Universe, on a planet made completely of ice and snow, with several frozen mountains full of snow, it was possible to see a portal being formed where Big Mun left, and soon the portal closed. And it didn't take long for another portal to appear in that place, and who came out of it was Syndra, the god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, who was confused to be in that place. The god of destruction of the Ninth Universe was more surprised to see Big Mun sitting on a small relief made of ice with some snow pegs around. Big Mun said, Well, I thought Champa was the only chubby one of the gods of destruction. But apparently there are more than one god of destruction who are overweight. I just hope you're not as skinny as Champa, because if you are, that's going to be a real bore," said the god of destruction, looking at Syndra, who was confused about the being in front of him. Syndra said, "Who are you? Why are you wearing that god of destruction outfit? And mainly because I'm here," said the god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, while looking at Big Mun, who ended up sighing. Big Mun said, "Who am I? Isn't it obvious, you idiot? I'm the former god of destruction from the 13th Universe. My name is Big Mun, and being a god of destruction, of course, I would wear this outfit. And why you're here too isn't obvious, is it? You are here so I can kill you, and that way I can start hunting all the gods of destruction and kill them one by one, so that I can have my revenge," said the god of destruction as he stood up and started walking towards Syndra at a slow pace. Syndra said, "So you are Big Mun, who defeated Champa, almost killing him. What makes you think that I will be defeated by the likes of you? You think I'm like Champa? I can be considered fat, but I'm not as weak as Champa. And from what I know, you're not that strong," said the god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, looking arrogantly at Big Mun, who ended up laughing at that. Big Mun spoke. "Am I weak? I'll show you who's weak here," said the god of destruction, releasing his energy of destruction, causing the ice around to be destroyed, in addition to causing several cracks in the place, something that scared Syndra because he didn't know that Big Mun had so much power. In the Ninth Universe. Currently in the Ninth Universe, more precisely on a planet far away from the solar system, which left this planet covered in ice and snow, it was possible to see that on that planet, a duel would take place between two gods of destruction, Syndra being the current god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, against Big Mun, who was the ancient god of destruction of the 13th Universe, who had been killed centuries ago, but who was now alive and ready to take revenge on all those responsible for his death. And to show just how serious he was, Big Mun wanted to kill and defeat all the gods of destruction. But Big Mun had not yet killed any of the gods of destruction. Big Mun left Champa, the god of destruction of the 6th Universe, almost on the verge of death, and just didn't kill him out of pure pity. Syndra made the big mistake of being arrogant with Big Mun, in addition to having underestimated the power of the ancient god of destruction, who was not releasing his power to not draw so much attention. But now that Syndra had provoked Big Mun, he decided to show his power by generating an aura so powerful that it made everything around tremble. Cracks appeared on all sides of the planet, and even the opposite side of the planet was feeling Big Mun's power, and that made Syndra feel afraid because Big Mun's strength was far superior to him. And just knowing that made Syndra want to flee the planet so he wouldn't have to face that monster that was in front of him. Syndra thought, "It was a mistake to underestimate Big Mun's strength. I knew he was about Champa in terms of strength, but I didn't think Big Mun was that strong. The other gods of destruction said that he was still weak, and that he hadn't been able to recover his old powers. But Big Mun doesn't seem to be weak at all. He must not be at full power. But yet, it looks of it, Big Mun is weaker than Beerus, which is strange because, according to the angels, at the height of his power, Big Mun could destroy Beerus like a mere fly. And that's scary," thought the god of destruction as he looked scared at the ancient god of destruction, who was the strongest of his time, possibly would be one of the strongest today as well. Syndra said, "I may not be as strong as that bastard, but I can use one of my techniques to bend space and leave this planet at high speed, and not even Big Mun will be able to keep up with me," thought the god of destruction while concentrating. Syndra raised his power and flew at a very high speed to get away from Big Mun. But when Syndra was going to leave the planet, he ended up getting hit in his face with a kind of barrier that made Syndra be electrocuted and then fall straight to the ground. Syndra's fall generated a small crater, and when Big Mun saw that, he started to laugh. Big Mun spoke. "The gods of destruction that are currently in power are very different from the gods of destruction of my time. Those of my time were not cowards and ran away from fights. In fact, they would rather die in a fight than be humiliated by running away from your opponent. But apparently today's gods of destruction are not like that, and that's sad. I didn't want to kill a coward, but I have to, so I will kill you," my dear Ninth Universe God of Destruction. By the way, if you know any teleportation techniques, it's better not to use them because it's useless. My angel Amunet knows how to create barriers millions of times better than the other angels. After all, Amunet's barriers managed to withstand my attacks at my peak of power. And the barriers were not even scratched, said the God of Destruction while looking at the barrier created by his angel. And at the same time that Big Mun was praising the barriers, his angel appeared at his side and smiled because of the praise. Amunet said, I'm happy to know that I'm being useful to the Master, and you don't need to worry, Master, because all the power that you release inside the barrier will stay inside the barrier, and that way no God of Destruction or angel will stop your fight. Now I'll stay further away so I can watch your fight against the God of Destruction, Syndra. So have fun, Master, said the angel looking at her master and moving away from the two gods of destruction. And in doing so, Amunet hit his staff on the ground, generating a kind of throne of ice around it. There was a kind of blue and white barrier similar to ice. Big Mun said, Now that we have an audience watching our fight, we can face each other, even though I think this won't be a fight, because everyone will see me beating a disgusting and cowardly worm that doesn't have a minimum of dignity to face his opponent from the front. You, Syndra, do not deserve to be a god of destruction, said the ancient god of destruction, preparing to kill Syndra. Syndra was irritated by the way he was being treated by a god of destruction who shouldn't even be alive anymore. Syndra knew he couldn't run away, so when the fight started, he would have to fight to kill. But Syndra knew one thing. Big Mun was a threat to all the other gods of destruction, and if Syndra killed Big Mun, he would become a hero to everyone. And thanks to that thirst for power and glory that Syndra possessed, he was no longer caring about Big Mun's power level, as his greed blinded him, and with that, his fear disappeared. Syndra, not afraid of Big Mun's power, raised his power and advanced against his opponent, who was surprised that Syndra made the first move. Syndra quickly approached Big Mun and tried to hit him with a punch, but the god of destruction from another time managed to dodge it with some ease, so Syndra's blow ended up hitting the ground, and this generated a tremor and a great destruction, making several blocks of ice go flying in all directions. Big Mun, seeing that, was interested because now Syndra was acting like a god of destruction, and that pleased Big Mun, who ended up giving a small smile with that. Big Mun quickly balanced and dodged again a blow from Syndra, who started to perform a rain of blows, with his fists imbued with the power of destruction. But Big Mun was dodging most of the attacks until a careless Big Mun ended up having his foot sunk into a crater in the ground, and taking advantage of that, Syndra hit a powerful punch in the stomach of Big Mun that made him fly away. But Syndra didn't stop there. He activated a kind of instantaneous mode, where Syndra began to teleport, and with this he hit several blows on Big Mun. And finally, Syndra hit a powerful punch from top to bottom on Big Mun's stomach. That made him go against the ground and fall. The ancient god of destruction created a large crater that was open on the spot. Syndra, seeing that his blows were hitting Big Mun, he got excited. And with that, Syndra advanced again against his enemy in search of finishing him at once, with a final punch in the chest of Big Mun. Syndra went towards Big Mun, and due to its speed, everything around it was being destroyed. And what was left in the place was only the throne of Amunet, that was only whole because it was protected by the barrier created by the angel. Big Mun said, Look, I must say that your blows hurt, and you managed to make me bleed. But I'm already tired of receiving or dodging the blows, so it's time for me to hurt you. And I'm going to hurt you a lot, said the god of destruction, holding Syndra's fist that was a few centimeters from his face. Syndra was scared because Big Mun managed to hold his fist. Big Mun concentrated some of his energy and shot an energy spear at Syndra's stomach, making him fly away. And when he was up there, the energy spear expanded, making Syndra scream in pain. The attack would not be strong enough to kill Syndra, but it still hurt a lot. Big Mun came out of his crater and wiped the corner of his mouth that was dirty with blood, and then disappeared and reappeared in front of Syndra, who was still falling. And when Syndra faced Big Mun's fist, he was already inches from his face, so in a quick thought, Syndra gathered all his energy to protect himself, but still Big Mun's blow made Syndra fly and destroy everything in the way. And thanks to the pressure of the attack, one of the glaciers ended up becoming water. and in the middle of another glacier far away from the place where the combat started was Syndra with a badly wounded face. Big Mun said, "Now do you understand? That's the difference between the past and the present. You are too weak to face me, and you will only be the first god of destruction to be slain at the hands of a true god of destruction," said the god of destruction, looking at Syndra, who was grinding his teeth because of the anger he was feeling at Big Mun, who had a big predatory smile on his face. In the Ninth Universe. Currently in the Ninth Universe, more precisely on a planet far away from the solar system, it was possible to see that Big Mun, the former god of destruction of the 13th Universe, and Syndra, the current god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, were facing each other on a planet made of ice and snow. Syndra at that moment was very injured, and Big Mun was slightly injured, and the former god of destruction was only like that because he ended up receiving some blows to test Syndra's strength, which in Big Mun's opinion was ridiculous, and that strength shouldn't even be considered the strength of a god of destruction. Big Mun said, "Look, your previous strikes weren't that bad, but they are very easy to defend or dodge. And as I want to test your strength, I let you hurt me, but it seems that now I started to take this fight a little more seriously. You gave up, don't tell me. Did you finally realize the difference in strength between not two, and you have already accepted your own death? That would make things a lot easier," asked the former god of destruction with an arrogant and mocking tone as he looked at Syndra, who was getting up and leaving the place he had stopped after Big Mun's blow. Syndra said, "Of course not. I am the god of destruction of the Ninth Universe, and as such I will not be killed by an ancient god of destruction who has returned from the netherworld to do some shit. You're not in your era, but in mine. So I'll show you the true power of Universe 9's God of Destruction," shouted the God of Destruction as she began to release a great wave of energy of destruction. Because of the great energy of destruction released by Syndra, the frozen planet where the combat was taking place began to be destroyed in a few seconds. But Amunet was faster, and using her power, the angel managed to create a kind of time loop that prevented the planet from being destroyed. Big Mun spoke. "That massive amount of power of destruction being released by Syndra, he's going to use his true form of the god of destruction. Amazing. This is what I always wanted to see. Let Syndra raise his power even more," shouted the ancient god of destruction, also releasing his power to try to match Syndra's power. The shocks of the power of both gods of destruction were causing cracks throughout the planet, but thanks to Amunet's power, the destruction generated was disappearing, because if it wasn't for Amunet's power, the planet would have been destroyed in time by the gigantic power that was being released from both gods of destruction at that moment. After a few long seconds releasing their power, Syndra and Big Mun stopped doing that, and soon it was possible to see Syndra with an appearance similar to that of Toppo during the power tournament. Syndra's skin was darker on his chest, there was a symbol of destruction on his universe, and his aura was purely composed of the energy of destruction, and that form was Syndra's true god of destruction form. Big Mun, who was watching this, was very excited about the fight, but Big Mun was still in his base form. But the eyes of the ancient god of destruction glowed in an intense purple and black color, and around his body was his aura of destruction, similar to that of Syndra. Syndra, now at the height of his strength, simply disappeared and reappeared in front of Big Mun, who ended up dodging his opponent's blow. But Big Mun dodged at the last moment, and Syndra ended up hurting his cheek. But Big Mun didn't stay still. He tried to land a blow on his opponent, but Syndra was faster, and again disappeared and reappeared, landing a kick on Big Mun's head that threw him away. Big Mun was slightly stunned because of Syndra's blow, but he managed to recover quickly, and in doing so Big Mun released his power of destruction on the ground. And with that, several beings of ice and snow were created, and they all advanced against Syndra, who upon seeing those beings coming to him, remembered the beings that were invading all universes. Such beings had a power far above the normal warriors of each planet, but still they were too weak for a being like Syndra. Syndra started shooting several spheres of destruction at those soldiers, and it ended up destroying them. But soon some of them approached the god of destruction, who started to face the soldiers directly, and none of them could withstand a single blow from Syndra at that stage. And with this level of power, Syndra ended up receiving a punch from the bottom up, given by Big Mun, who had come out of the ice, surprising Syndra. But his surprise diminished when he ended up receiving another blow, only this time it had been a kick in the stomach, and that made Syndra be thrown away. Big Mun advanced against Syndra as if he were a beast, with the only objective being to kill Syndra, who ended up managing to recover from the 2 blows given by Big Mun. The ancient god of destruction advanced against Big Mun, and when they both met, they clashed their fists, generating a large impact wave that ended up creating a giant crater. Syndra and Big Mun started an exchange of blows, and each blow shock increased the crater that got bigger and bigger, and the old Big Mun soldiers had already been totally destroyed by the impact wave that ended up reaching all of them, destroying them completely. And the only being who really wasn't suffering anything from those shockwaves was Amunet, who was watching that combat, drinking something, and eating some kind of cookie. The exchange of blows between the 2 gods of destruction became more and more intense, and with that the crater became bigger, and even Amunet's reconstruction power was not able to keep up with the level of destruction that Syndra and Big Mun were creating. Big Mun was much faster than before, and his blows were even more accurate and strong, showing that he was improving every minute, and that was making Syndra scared because he wouldn't be able to maintain that form for a long time, and Big Mun knew it. Syndra said, "That's enough. This battle will end here and now," said the current god of destruction while looking at Big Mun. Syndra managed to perform a sequence of blows against Big Mun, and in the last blow Syndra kicked Big Mun very hard, making him go backwards. Big Mun crashed against the crater wall, and when he got up, Big Mun saw that Syndra had gathered a huge amount of energy, and Big Mun knew that would be Syndra's final ultimate attack, and with that Big Mun just smiled. Big Mun gathered all of his energy around his body, generating a defensive aura, and then advanced towards Syndra, who finally managed to finish gathering his power. Syndra spoke. "Big Mun, return to the world of the dead, along with your former fellow gods of destruction, and all those who existed in your extinct universe," said the current god of destruction of the 9th universe, before firing his attack. Big Mun said, "Come on, Syndra, use all your power and try to kill me," shouted the former god of destruction, with a big psychotic smile, as he looked at the large amount of destructive energy gathered by Syndra. Syndra with a roar fired his attack with full force in the direction of Big Mun, who instead of diverting concentrated his aura in his arm and placed it in front of his body, and soon Big Mun was hit by Syndra's blow. That blow generated an explosion so powerful that it ended up making the planet explode, and this time Amunet couldn't stop that, but the barrier created around himself and around the planet were still whole, and not even that attack was able to make a scratch on the barriers. Because of the attack and the destruction of the planet, a great light prevented Amunet from seeing the outcome of the combat. But after a few minutes, the angel was able to see things perfectly. And with that, she undid both barriers because Amunet knew that the battle was already over, and she was sure her master had not been defeated. Amunet knew her master very well. Amunet, after undoing the barriers, Anja began to float to go to the place where she was feeling Big Mun's energy. And as she approached, the angel saw that one of Big Mun's arms had been destroyed, and there had been several small particles of energy of destruction coming out of it, and there were several cracks with energy of destruction throughout the body of the former 13th universe god of destruction. Now the other arm of the former god of destruction was in Syndra's chest, and soon Big Mun made his power of destruction flow through his arm that was inside Syndra's chest. And little by little, the god of destruction of the 9th universe was disappearing. Big Mun said, "In the end, you weren't as weak as I thought, and you gave me a good battle, and for that I thank you. Now rest in peace, Syndra," said the god of destruction, looking at Syndra, who soon had his entire existence completely erased by the power of destruction of Big Mun. In the 7th universe. Currently in the 7th universe, it was possible to see all the gods of destruction except the 9th universe god of destruction, Syndra, and his angel. All the other gods of destruction were gathered on the planet of the 7th universe god of destruction, and they were in a meeting to talk about Big Mun and what the gods of destruction should do to get him killed or sealed in a way that Big Mun disappeared forever, so that no one would ever bring him back to life. Hela said, "It looks like that ugly Syndra won't be coming to this meeting. I must say that Syndra is being more idiotic than I thought he would be," said the goddess of destruction of the 2nd universe while looking at the seat, which it should belong to the god of destruction of the ninth universe, who was, by the way, not present at the place, leaving some angry gods, mainly Ramon, the god of destruction of the 10th universe. Ramon said, "Sidra, you've always been very inconsequential, but this is already going too far. Doesn't Sidra understand what these meetings of ours are for? It's for us to discover best ways to act against the accursed Big Mun, which, by the way, must already be coming up with some strategy to kill us. After all, those creatures made of energy of destruction, with elemental bodies, were his work, to destroy our universes and weaken us. And with that, it'll be easier for Big Mun to kill us all," said the god of destruction of the 10th universe, angry with the inconsequential actions of his fellow god of destruction, Syndra, and at the same time, Ramon was very angry that Big Mun was destroying his universe, using those beings made of energy of destruction that belonged to him. Champa said, "It doesn't matter if Syndra is near or not. Maybe he's helping his warriors to destroy these creatures from the destruction of Big Mun. Now our goal is to figure out how to stop Big Mun. I hope that since our last meeting, and seeing everything that's been going on, each of you has found a way to kill the Big Mun, or at least seal it away in a definitive way. So if you have any suggestions, we would all like to know, so we can discuss about it," said the god of destruction of the 6th universe, who had now recovered from his battle against Big Mun, where Champa was not only killed because Big Mun didn't want it at the time. At that moment, all the gods of destruction began to speak at the same time, giving some information and suggestions, but most of the gods of destruction said to corner Big Mun and kill him, and that idea would not work at all. After all, Big Mun was a warrior with thousands of years of experience, and thanks to the ancient gods of destruction, he would not be caught in a trap or strategy, because Big Mun would not be so stupid as to fall into such a plan, and Beerus knew it very well. Beerus said, "This will not work. Any plan that is to attract Big Mun will fail. You see, we are all thousands of years old, and during the time we had to face several battles, but these battles are not even close to what Big Mun and the ancient gods of destruction had to face. And from what we can gather of the information about the ancient gods of destruction and their angels, the angels of the 13th universe called Amunet, who by the way is the angel of Big Mun, has the ability to create barriers millions of times bigger and better than all our other angels. And for the information that we got, Big Mun and the other 5 gods of destruction of the universes that were erased made competitions of strength between them. And as we all know, the gods of destruction are forbidden to do that, because if they did, they would end up destroying the universes. But thanks to Amunet's barrier, which is extremely strong, these gods of destruction faced each other without fear of what could happen. And believe me, the ancient gods of destruction did not hold back when facing each other," said the god of destruction of the 7th universe, leaving his colleagues shocked with this information. After all, if the ancient gods faced each other, then Big Mun should have a lot of fighting experience all the way to the death. Champa said, "Since that's the case, what do you suggest, Beerus? Because then we need a way to be able to kill or seal Big Mun in a definitive way. I had thought of using the Super Dragon Balls to seal it, but apparently they won't be able to be used for a long time, and we can't speed up the process. So do you have any ideas to solve our problem?" asked the god of destruction of the 6th universe, looking at his twin brother. Beerus said, "I do have a plan, brother. We can use Mafuba, which is a technique from a warrior in my world. This warrior used this technique during the Tournament of Power. Or we can also invoke Zenosama so that he erases Big Mun once and for all," said the god of destruction of the 7th universe, while looking at the other gods of destruction, who apparently liked the idea. Hellas said, "It's a good idea, Beerus. Only at this point I would like to know why Big Mun is doing this. I think it's a little strange that he comes back from the dead and wants to kill us. After all, we aren't the ones who killed Big Mun. We weren't even alive at the time," said the goddess of destruction of the 2nd universe, looking at her companions, but soon the gods of destruction got the answer from the one they least expected. A mysterious voice said, "Maybe it's because I need to kill you in order to drain the energy of destruction from your bodies, so that I can recover my old strength faster. And with that, kill the one who really killed me, which is the Daishinkan, the High Priest. So don't take it personally, but I need to do this," said a voice coming from a dark corner. And when doing that, everyone looked in that direction of the voice. and someone saw Syndra coming out of the darkness. Vermont said, "Syndra! No, you're not Syndra. That guy over there is Big Mun. He must be using his appearance-altering technique. Wait, if you are here and not Syndra, where is the real Syndra?" asked the god of destruction of the 11th universe as he looked at the false Syndra who just smiled. The false Syndra spoke. "It seems to me that you are more intelligent than I thought. You're right, god of destruction of the 11th universe. Syndra, the god of destruction of the 9th universe, is dead. And I must say it was fun fighting him," said the ancient god of destruction with his appearance similar to that of Syndra. The only difference was that there were some marks on his arm that could be the result of the previous battle against the true god Syndra. Beerus said, "Thank you for coming to us so we can kill you before you get stronger," said the god of destruction of the 7th universe, releasing his power and advancing against false Syndra, who raised his power and crossed his arms in front of his body to protect himself from the attack that ended up generating an explosion. Big Mun, who had returned to his original appearance, started a battle against Beerus, but soon all the other gods of destruction flew to help Beerus, and with that Big Mun began to receive attacks from several different directions, making him very injured. And as there were many attacks and everyone was very fast, the ancient god of destruction was not able to defend himself or reduce the damage received. Big Mun, after receiving thousands of blows from the other gods of destruction, who were very angry for having lost one of their companions, even though Syndra was not the most beloved, he was still the companion of the gods of destruction, and it was their duty to avenge Syndra. Big Mun, even taking thousands of hits from the other gods of destruction, he couldn't get the evil smile off his face. Beerus, along with the other gods of destruction, decided to make the final attack, and with that they all approached Big Mun. And at the same time, Big Mun released all his power of destruction, and that made him enter his true form of god of destruction, which caused a great wave of destruction energy that crashed into the gods of destruction and threw them away, leaving some gods bewildered because of the shock wave and also due to the intense light generated. Big Mun, in a quick movement, took advantage of the bewildered gods and advanced against Hellas. Big Mun disappeared and reappeared on the back of the goddess of destruction of the 2nd universe, and with that Big Mun created a keyblade of destruction. Before Hellas could recover, Big Mun pierced his chest and made an energy of destruction enter Hellas's body, just as he had done with Syndra. Big Mun said, "There were 12 of them, and now there are only 10 more. You together are an impossible task for me right now, but I will get each one of you and I will kill you all. So get stronger, because I don't want to kill weak people. I want to fight to the death with you. It's just a pity I couldn't do that to the women, since I killed her. But I also wasn't in the mood to face a goddess of destruction who believes that love is the ultimate power. So whatever," spoke the ancient god of destruction, seeing Hellas's body turn to ashes little by little. Hellas said, Damned, said the goddess of destruction of the 2nd universe, before her body turned completely into ash and disappeared in particles of energy of destruction. Big Mun spoke. "Until our next meeting, gods of destruction," said the ancient god of destruction before entering a portal that closed in time to not receive an attack of destruction from Beerus, who growled in anger for having lost a companion because of Big Mun that almost claimed his brother's life before. With that, we'll end today's video. If you want to see the continuation of this incredible story, leave a lot of likes in the video and comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you another day, guys.